A surprise, yes, certainly, especially after the whole week we've been through in Quebec politics. You know, we often say never a dull time in Quebec politics. Well, this week was the living proof of this. Every party seems like had a taste of it during the past few weeks. The CQ with the doctors, the Liberals with what's happening with Mauro Risky, and now Québec Solidaire with Vincent Marissal. Now, is it a surprise? I would say Marisal was probably among the least activist elements of this party. So is it a surprise that uh, there is dissent, that there is disagreements internally regarding the policies of this party, especially following the election, as we know, of Sol Zanetti as the new co-spokesperson of Québec Solidaire. So, you know, Mr. Zanetti is renowned for being amongst the most radical elements of this party. He's a hardline sovereignist. So, of course, this election that just happened and the opponents that he was facing, other members of the Solidaire caucus, who were seen as maybe more moderate. Of course, this certainly triggers questions within some MNAs, within some Quebec Solidaire MNAs minds as to am I still within the right party, or is this election of Solzhenitsyn yet again another proof that this party is not moving in the right direction to seize power eventually, and rather wants to remain a marginal party of pushing an ideology, but not necessarily pushing for an agenda that will eventually lead it to become the next government of Quebec. So for someone like Marisal, who's more moderate, of course, and who was within Quebec Solidaire, as for instance, Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois, to try and bring this party more towards the center, toward more moderate positions and stances, in order for them to be able eventually to seize power. This is certainly a disappointment to see Salzanetti being elected by the members of Quebec Solidaire. And we understand today from what he has told the media that this was also part of his reflection in the past few days and weeks as to was he going to remain within Quebec Solidaire or to leave. Now, regarding Mr. Marissal himself, let's not forget that this man has flirted with other parties in the past, and he has flirted with parties who have absolutely nothing in common with Quebec Solidaire. So remember in 2018, when he became a candidate for Quebec Solidaire in Rosemont, prior to that, in the months prior to that, he also flirted with the Trudeau Liberals on the federal stage. So there's nothing could oppose those two parties more than the Trudeau Liberals and Quebec Solidaire. On one side, a very sovereignist left-wing party, and on the other side, a very federalist party on the federal stage. So the fact that he has flirted with those parties, and the fact that also we've heard many rumors in the past year that he was looking at maybe potentially being a candidate as mayor of Montreal, shows that Vincent Marissal was already thinking as at least this year, throughout the year, he was already considering the idea of leaving Quebec Solidaire, maybe leaving provincial politics altogether. But this time, what we hear is that there were rumors that were intensifying regarding Mr. Marissal joining the PQ. And this to me seems very opportunistic, to be honest with you, because let's face it, the polls projections were all showing that the riding of Rosemont, of which he is, of course, the MNA, was going to be seized by the PQ, taken by the PQ from Quebec Solidaire. So to see him flee Quebec Solidaire to join the PQ means that he basically wanted simply to save his seat here. If I were the leader of a party, you have to show strength. You have to make sure that everybody within your team is aligned with the party's positions and is that his or her intention is to remain within your ranks. So if you have anyone considering leaving for another party, you don't want to keep this person within the caucus where you talk about strategies, and we're just over 10 months ahead of the next general election. So it's coming very soon here. So this is a time when parties are conducting fundraising events. They're talking about their strategy, their platform in view of the next election. These are very secret information that you want to keep confidential. You don't want to see someone within your team leaving for another party and then sharing to that opponent party all the discussions you've had internally. So if there's a time for them to leave, I mean, the right thing to do from Mr. Marisal would probably have been to already announce that he was going to sit as an independent because he has some different diverging points of views with his own party, and then maybe eventually have talks with other parties such as the PQ. He didn't do that. He remained as an MNA for Québec Solidaire, while at the same time shopping for another party, had discussions with the PQ, and this came to the ears of Québec Solidaire leadership. So I understand Québec Solidaire leadership to react this way, to kick him out, and then who says right? Right? Did he resign first? Did they kick him out first? So we'll never have really the truth about this, but it shows that Québec Solidaire right now is going also, as the Liberals, in crisis mode, and it shows that they are also trying to show some strong leadership. And it's also about sending a message, I think, to your other MNAs. There could be other MNAs, more moderate MNAs within Quebec Solidaire caucus right now, who are also considering leaving their party because their chances of being reelected in just less than a year from now are pretty slim. Then there's also dissatisfaction with the election of their new co-spokesperson. So it might be a strong message also to send to other members of your caucus saying, wait a minute, if you're talking with other parties, if you're flirting with other parties, that's what you can expect as a reaction from us. This is showing them this is what awaits for you if you're doing the same thing as Vincent Marissal. Well, for sure, Quebec Solidaire right now is losing most of its star candidates or star MNAs. Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois, Manon Massé, Vincent Marissal. These were Christine Labrie as well. So, of course, these were the most renowned faces of Quebec Solidaire. It's an occasion for renewal, maybe for the party to go and bring in new, fresh faces within the party. But it's also, there's a risk of the party being even more marginalized because right now the elements that are remaining within Quebec Solidaire are part of the more activist branch of the party. So we see the more moderate elements of Quebec Solidaire, and I'm including into this Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois. Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois, when he was co-spokesperson, tried to bring this party to shift a little bit to the center so that they could broaden their coalition. They could bring in new voters to vote for them and maybe get more seats and eventually hope to form the next Quebec government. This strategy, obviously, for Gabriel Dubois has failed. This is one of the reasons why he also chose to leave as co-spokesperson of Quebec Solidaire. And I think what we are seeing right now is a realignment of Quebec Solidaire that's probably shifting more towards the far left of the political spectrum rather than moving towards the center right now.